Hey guys, it's FreshCut again, back again with another episode of Gen Z Reacts. So this week I'll be reacting to a Patrick Bet David video. He's a well-known social media influencer, and he'll be reacting to basically an article about underemployment from college students. He dives into a bunch of different topics about college education when discussing this topic, but I think holistically it's a good video to kind of get a gauge of what his feelings are and kind of the issues around college education right now and kind of my take on it. So we'll dive right in.
So let me preface something before we get into the episode. There's going to be a lot of you upset with me in this episode because some of you are going to go talk to your parents, to your friends, to your counseling, to your teacher. Why did you make me go get this degree? And some parents are going to watch this video. You're going to send this to your kids and say, why did you major in this and waste mommy and daddy's money? Because the underemployed people that are watching this, you're not going to be very happy. You want some numbers here? Check this out. According to researchers at labor analytics firm Burning Glass Institute and nonprofit Strata Education Foundation, they tracked the career paths of 10 million individuals, analyzing the resumes of workers who graduated between 2012 and 2021. Within 1 year, 52% of them after graduating are underemployed. Within 5 years, 45%. Within 10 years, 45%. And if you're wondering what is the definition of underemployment, according to Federal Reserve Bank of New York, it means working in a job that typically does not require a bachelor's degree.
Underemployment is definitely an issue. I see it in some of my classmates. I see it on social media, people complaining about the jobs they get after working hard for a bachelor's degree. It's becoming even more prevalent with the rise in the number of undergraduate degrees that are being given from either no-name institutions or really small schools, online schools. So the academic rigor isn't nearly as high as it once was. The requirements for a lot more jobs are just generally a bachelor's degree. So there's a rise in education in general. And so because of this, there is also a rise in underemployment. People who get bachelor's degrees who do not find a job in their field or at the level of the education they attain. I definitely think that's an issue. When you look further into the specific article that he's referencing, Patrick David kind of skips over the fact that the criteria is 50% of people who have that job title do not have an undergraduate degree. But this doesn't really take into account if you get paid more potentially for having this degree, even though the role is not typically associated with a bachelor's degree. One thing that comes to mind, someone I know firsthand has an undergraduate degree in athletic training and they work as a medical assistant. They get paid significantly more than the medical assistants who do not have an undergraduate degree. The compensation is tied into the fact that they are more well-trained and they could do more things because of their bachelor's degree background. So it's kind of interesting that the definition doesn't really take that into account. And I think that happens a lot more often than is seen in the study. In the same article that Patrick Bet-David is referencing throughout this video, underemployed college graduates earn 25% more than people who do not have their college degree. So a lot of this is seen in the value that they're giving in compensation, even though the job does not necessarily require a college degree.
You spend $200,000, $100,000 of your parents' money, maybe your own money. Maybe you got a Sally Mae's right now that you're dealing with making those payments, and you have a job right now that has nothing to do with your degree. And guess what? We're going to give you some data today. You know what that data is? We're going to give you what data has the lowest unemployment rate in America today and a bunch of other things. It definitely makes you question today's educational system because we were promised.
Like I said earlier, with college degrees being a lot more prevalent, it's become a little bit more difficult to make that acceleration up into the upper middle class. But there are certainly a lot of benefits. I have a college degree. I went to University of Pittsburgh for undergrad and University of Pittsburgh for graduate school. Held a pit. But I definitely see that there are a lot of negatives to college education, or at least people not holistically understanding the ramifications of getting a college education and potentially going into debt for that education. So hopefully Patrick ties into both of these things before he comes to any conclusions here.
You go get this job, guaranteed pay, benefits, da-da-da-da-da. Let me go get a college degree. But that promise no longer as accurate as it once used to be today. We're going to talk about that in this episode. Watch what it says here when it comes down to major choice. Many 18 to 22-year-olds base their major choices on personal interest rather on labor market demand and supply gaps. What does that mean?
Yeah, I definitely think that is an issue in general in college education. Obviously, you want to do something you're interested in, something that you feel passionate about, but just basing your undergraduate degree major on what you're interested in is not going to be financially viable in the long term. You should definitely look into what the financial aspects of it after graduating, or what type of roles you'll be in, or the types of jobs you'll have, and whether this degree will set you up for the career path you want. Thinking of that career trajectory is definitely key when deciding a college major.
Unemployment rate of recent college graduates in the U.S. as of February 2023 by major. What do you think's all the way at the top? Fine arts got a big lead with 12.1% unemployment.
This list in general is kind of surprising. It is specifically talking about unemployment rates from college graduates. So if there were mass layoffs in this industry, this would take that into account. I don't think there's as much correlation between underemployment and unemployment as he's making it seem here, like that this is one to one. But it's definitely a strong indicator that maybe these degrees are something to shy away from, unless you have connections already or unless you've extensively done internships in this field. But we'll see.
Then you have sociology, then you got family and consumer sciences, then you got mass media, then commercial art and graphic design, foreign language, performing arts, public policy and law, international affairs, then you got engineer technology, political science. By the way, every one of these, the unemployment rate is higher than what the unemployment is right now in America. And by the way, we can keep going. The overall number, like the over-under at 5.1%, is what the average numbers for unemployment, right? So if you go above 5.1, all those majors, the unemployment is above average of the rest of the numbers. Now, what's below it? Okay, here's what you'll find. Business management. You'll find computer science, farm.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting to evaluate both of these lists. I think a lot of it has to do with the amount of degrees that are offered in some of these programs. I'm kind of shocked that engineering technologies is something that has higher unemployment than the general population of the United States. And then you have things like earth sciences on this list, which has lower unemployment than the rest of the country. Maybe that earth sciences are only offered at very limited schools, and that engineering technologies is offered at a lot of the online only schools to make it seem like someone has an engineering degree, whatever else it is, because these numbers, at least in specific degrees, are can stand out and be a little bit jarring, at least based on my recollection of academic programs that were available at Pitt.
Biology, advertising and public relations, criminal justice, geography, finance, chemical engineering, computer engineering, even theology and religion pays more. So think about it. I don't know why.
He said pays more. This whole collection of data that he's shown in unemployment rates has nothing to do with that. Religious and theology studies could potentially be paid $32,000 a year that he was laughing at compared to the fine arts major. So who knows? Saying specifically being paid is not something that's shown in this article. So I'm immediately going to refute that. He's jumping to conclusions there that aren't being made.
Religion pays more what it does. Chemistry, accounting, nursing. So now, again, remember, this is not like a conversation about, oh, let's laugh at you because you took that degree or not. I'm not trying to do that. All I'm saying is, if you've done it already, it is what it is. Okay, you've already made the decision. You got to move forward. This is for some other people to create awareness. But watch this.
I think that's a great way to think about it. If you have a degree in one of these fields that is shown to be unemployed a lot more than the general population of the United States, I don't think it's something to gripe on or have to go back and get another degree. You could use those skills that you attain using your degree or some work experience or leverage different opportunities to give yourself the leg up in the long run. But I'm still waiting to see if Patrick, that David here mentions some of the compounding factors that lead to people being unemployed and underemployed even after getting a degree. So we'll see here.
if we're gonna think logically, right? Okay, I wanna think a little bit logically about my career path, and then later on when I make my money, I wanna invest into my passion, okay? No problem. If you can do both, you're part of the lucky few. But watch this. These are the jobs with bachelor's degrees that have the most job openings today. Number one, general and operations manager. Number two, RNs. Okay, number three, software developers. Four, project management specialists. Then it's accountants and auditors. Then it's elementary school teachers. Doesn't pay that well, but there's a lot of openings. Then it's management analysts. Then it's market research analysts. Then it's personal service managers. Pays the most, by the way, $110,000 a year. Secondary school teachers. So obviously a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, I definitely think it's smart to look at those fields where there is going to be a gap in the amount of degree holders or interest in the field, the amount of job openings. That may lead you to being paid a premium because you're one of the few people with that skill. I used to work in Big Four consulting. I mentioned that in another video, and I know there's a huge need for accountants. Those jobs are very much needed, especially for the large size of corporations that we see today. Elementary school teachers is always going to be a need, although a lot of states limit and cap the amount of income you're making in those fields. I still think it's interesting to look and see, wow, so I know I'll be able to get a job after going through undergraduate studies because there's such a need for people in my field.
Decision they want to make. Watch this. According to Gallup, confidence in higher education among Americans dropped sharply from 57% in 2015 to 36%. From 57 to 36. Americans do not trust higher education.
I know a lot of the correlation between the education mistrust in the United States has to do with the fact that Republicans feel that education is turned against them and is anti-conservative and is pushing woke values on people. I don't feel one way or another about those statements. There are aspects of the education system that are kind of woke and lean more appeasing towards liberal thoughts and of liberal studies. That's where the difference is in trust for education. I don't think that's a pro or con thing, and I don't think it has specifically to do with underemployment and unemployment, as he's mentioned in this video. So different things, compounding things that are negative about college education, but I don't think the relationship is as direct as he's making it seem.
Again, talking about who is most by AI, people with more degrees or people with fewer degrees. And watch what it says. If you look at the chart right here, it says what shares of workers are most exposed to AI in their jobs. And high school grad, 12%, some college, 19%, bachelors, 27% of people with a bachelor's degree, their job can be replaced by AI. So
that is not what the question said. The question had to do with being exposed to AI. In the jobs I work as a consultant. I'm exposed to AI significantly. I can use AI to optimize my notes or write an email for me. Most white collar jobs, you can bounce ideas off of AI, leverage it to do some coding for you, whatever else it may be. But having exposure to AI does not directly correlate to being in jeopardy because of AI. Although I do think it will affect the industries of white collar jobs, there is no correlation, at least currently standing. There are a lot of jobs that don't require a college degree that aren't exposed to AI nearly as much, but that will be optimized by AI. So whatever job you're in, you could be affected by AI even if you're not exposed to it. The correlation between exposure and fear that AI will take your job is not really there. I think Patrick is jumping to huge conclusions with this.
What is the point of this? How should I strategize? If there's ever been an era for you to really think about what job you're going to be taking that's going to be around 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, or a degree that's going to give you the right skill sets for that, this is the time to question it the most. So
it definitely is a smart time to think about your job long term. Think, hey, can AI take this job? Can AI optimize this job? Can AI eliminate my job in the future? So that's definitely something to think about, and you should take that into account. Same thing with any new technologies. Can it potentially take my job away? How can I adapt and add skills to my current workload so that my job cannot be taken by AI, or I'm indispensable during the AI revolution that people seem to think we are in?
trade skill shortage. The construction industry faces a gap of 500,000 workers. Why? Because a lot of these older workers are starting to retire and there's not a lot of people that want these jobs, right? So according to Bureau of Labor Statistics, the construction industry is projected to add 700,000 new jobs just between 2018 and 2028, but the shortage threatens this growth. The application rate for technical jobs like plumbers and electricians dropped by 49% just in 2 years, from 2020 to 2022. And according to Anthony Carnevale, director of Georgetown University Center for Education and the Workforce, America deindustrialized in the second half of 20th century, and education was reimagined to emphasize seeking four-year degree.
I think that's absolutely true. A lot of young men and women should be going into the trades because there's a huge gap in the amount of people in the workforce and the amount of people retiring compared to how many people are entering those workforce. So those will drive up incomes for those individuals who want to be plumbers or construction workers. And that will lead to greater financial growth for those people if they're interested in those fields. And you have to applaud people who are going to those industries. I think a lot of this country hasn't really championed the working man who does physical labor or does some of these trades nearly as much as they should. Trades are a great avenue for advancement in society, and it's all about driving value in society. I think that's a great point that Patrick made.
Encouraging you to not get a degree. I got 4 kids. Kind of a message is that if the kid wants to go into STEM and you're going to do something that there's a long lifespan for you to do that job, yes, let's entertain it and talk about it. But these types of conversations must be had with the kids, because I love what Tom said. Tom said, look, if you want to do this job, I'm not paying for the degree there. You want to do this degree, I'll pay for that. And that's a conversation that parents can have. This degree, I'm willing to fund it for you. You want to get this degree? I'm just not going to give you that much money. I'll pay 100% for this. I'll pay 50% for this. I'll pay 25% for this. I'll pay 0 for this. You pick and choose which one you want to go, because my job is to invest into you.
I think it would be very helpful to have those conversations. I don't think most parents should be paying for the full tuition of their college education, because most parents do not have the financial means to retire at the time that they want to retire. And putting the retirement on the wayside to pay for a child's education is not really the best allocation of your dollars. I think it's a great thing to have these conversations about, hey, this is your education. If I'm going to be paying for it, I want you to go into something that will add value to society and will be needed when you come out the other end. Student loan debt is a problem in this country in general, but that has more to do with the colleges raising the prices significantly compared to student loans in general being a bad product. But that's a topic for another video. But Patrick definitely makes a great point here, pointing out that you should have those conversations before you look on to going to college.
Parents also have to think about having money to retire on, so they don't have to come to their kids and saying, honey, you need to support mommy and daddy. You don't want that either. So there's a predicament going on that this decision needs to be made. Look at your career in the following way. What if you handle marriage the way you handle career many times? What if we're like, oh, I love him. I'm so passionate about him. I'm so passionate about her. But you know for a fact this marriage is not going to work out. Should you get married? Well, what are you saying? Should I just marry for money? No, magic first. But then you also got to ask the questions, because marriage is more than just, oh, I love her. You got kids, diapers, costs, expenses, in-laws, will it work? How's it going to be struck? There's a lot of things to marriage outside of just I love her, just like there's a lot of things about the degree and the career path you take, just from I'm so passionate about this thing here and that's what I'm going to be doing. So think more about it. I know it's tough for the younger generation, but that would be my biggest challenge to you.
Yeah, I completely agree with Patrick here. I'm back on his side of things, I guess, with this conclusion. When you're looking into getting a college degree, you have to take into account all aspects of this. You should take into account this degree is something I'm passionate about, and it will drive revenue for a company. It is a need. It is a skill wanted in society. Finding a passion is almost never a great reason to do something. Even though I think I'd be a great coach, I would rather move myself over to the role I'm in now of working in consulting. There's a lot of need and there's a lot of want. They pay a premium for my skills, and it's a greater and easier way to financial security, so that maybe later on I could dive into a passion and coach football when I'm 45 to when I'm 60 if I want to, because that is something I'm passionate about. So financial security should be first and foremost, at least to me and the way I live my life. I think a lot of Gen Zers should look into that a little bit more when they're choosing their college degrees. I see people post, hey, I have this degree, hey, I have that degree. Should be able to have a career that is flourishing. The degrees they have are in communications, which is it's a great skill to have, but is not a direct correlator to the amount of value you bring to society. What stood out to me in this video is after going back and diving into the piece that Patrick Bet-David is referencing all throughout this video, it actually mentions a bunch of different things, the compounding aspects that lead to people not getting the job that they want and that prescribed underemployment after going through an undergraduate program. First thing they mention is the fact that underemployment is sticky, and the stickiness leads to underemployment continuously, like you mentioned in that chart, where people are consistently underemployed 5 to 10 years after going through an undergraduate degree. So the first job you get is very key. So making sure you find a job that is worth your skills, because become a recruiter for the first 5 years of your career thinking that you can bounce into a finance job later, those recruiting skills are basically going to be where you're going to be stuck unless something drastic changes or you can transfer your skills more immediately. I see this very often that people are talking about, it doesn't pay me well and now I want to change. So that stickiness is going to stay there for a very, very long time. And the next thing I wanted to mention here is the fact that internships were a very significant factor that played a role in the amount of underemployment that was seen in this study. So underemployment rates were percentages lower for graduates when they had an internship compared to those who didn't. So it's very key to make sure if this is a job you want to be in, let's say it's fine arts, to get an internship in fine arts too, so you can go into the field of fine arts immediately afterwards. A lot of people's internships turn into their first jobs. So making sure that there's a connection or correlation between you using your skills and showing that you can put to work some of the knowledge that you've been retaining in your undergraduate degree is very helpful. I took an internship and I found it was very useful in connecting the fact that the knowledge that I've retained isn't just enough to bubble in Scantrons. It's enough to actually produce in the real world. All in all, I think Patrick's video does a pretty good job of explaining some of the issues people have with underemployment and unemployment based on the degree field they are in, or potentially not having a job that's worthy of a bachelor degree holder. But I think you should dive into the solutions to this issue, and maybe a little bit more into the solutions while you're in these programs and immediately afterwards to make sure you're right shipping yourself. I think he has a couple good points when he mentions the fact that you should go into a degree field that will drive value, that's well needed in the marketplace, as well as something you're interested in. You have to marry the two, just like when you're looking for a long-term companion, a long-term mate. I'll be reacting to more videos that have discussions about finance and different aspects of life. And hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll like and subscribe, and definitely comment if you have any differing thoughts, you agree with Patrick more, you kind of take my side. Let's hear what you have to say.